finished it. I finished it in time for his birthday, and I am talking about the Leontis sweater that I was making for my husband. My name is Lauren Goodell. I live in Los Angeles. I'm a physical therapist. I enjoy the beach every day, and I love to knit. So thank you for joining me on my yarn adventure. It has been a little while since I recorded anything. I tried to do a recording in September, and the sound quality was terrible. And life happened, so it took a while to get back. I'm delighted to start winter with you and share some of the projects that happened during the fall and are continuing. I have 2 sweaters, 2 shawls, and a hat parade for you. So let's start with the Leontis sweater. This is the Leontis sweater. It is this beautiful, beautiful green. And as you can see, it has this lovely drape to it as well. And it is a basic raglan sweater. I thought it would be pretty easy to knit, and it mostly was. This is done in Qing, Dashing Sassy. The fabric drapes beautifully. It's so soft. I love working with this yarn. It's a fingering weight, so it does make a very lightweight sweater, which is perfect for here in Southern California. This colorway is called Banana Tree. My husband thinks of it as pistachio, so this is his pistachio sweater. And this is what happened along the way. I started off with an extra large because of the chest circumference. I quickly realized that that was not going to work, ripped it back and restarted in a large. That was okay, except that I hadn't calculated in the raglan depth from the shoulder down to the armpit, and that was very, very big for him still in a large. And when I went to make the sleeve, it really became bat wings. So I redid that. I knit the body of the sweater in the round in the size large, and when I got to the sleeve, I then made decreases very quickly and followed the instruction set for a medium. It turned out well. It fits him pretty well. It's a little bit big in the upper arm, but it's nice to have a little extra room there for him. So he likes it. I think it'll be the perfect lightweight Southern California sweater. Last time I also mentioned that I started the Elton sweater by Joji Locatelli, and I was knitting this up in a new fiber for me by Magpie fibers. The pattern is 2 different weight yarns alternating back and forth to make stripes, and I chose Magpie fiber solo, which is a fingering weight yarn. This is their fingering weight single ply merino in Magpie. The color is Magpie. It's this beautiful, beautiful blue. It does look like the ocean, and that's the color that I love. And it alternates back and forth with, let me see if I can find a strand, with their cashmere and silk yarn called Plume. It's lace weight, and it is fluffy and has this lovely loft to it. So basically the pattern goes back and forth, alternating these 2 weights, which I did find a little bit fiddly at first. I tend to knit loose, and so when I came to switching with the lace weight, I think I got extra loose. I had to be a little bit careful when I was doing that. I finally did get the rhythm, and it felt pretty good. Some other things came up though. The design is a drop shoulder sweater, and this is where I've gotten so far. You can see how it stripes back and forth between the plume and the solo, so the fingering and the lace weight. It makes these beautiful stripes, and it's a little sheer, so it's this lovely super lightweight fabric. And again, I'm loving the color, loving the texture and the feel and the drape of it. I must say that the initial construction of the sweater seemed a bit fiddly too, or at least unfamiliar to me, because I have never knit a drop sleeve shoulder pattern before. So it instructs to cast on stitches for the right back shoulder and then put those on hold, and then knit the left shoulder back and put those on hold, and then connect the left and the right together and knit down a little bit, and then put them all on hold. Pick up stitches from the right back for the right front, put those on hold, do the same for the left, put those on hold, and then join, and then knit down before joining in the round. And if I can mess it up, it can be messed up. So twisting the things on hold before connecting them happened. It was just a lot of things on hold and a lot of components. It didn't feel very straightforward, but I got through it. I think there might have been some other ways that might have been a little more straightforward to beginning and casting on this project, using a provisional cast on. It might have just been a way to avoid doing short rows, which I really don't mind doing. Between the construction part and the alternating back and forth of the different weights, it was a little bit tricky. It is not a neat and tidy knit for me at all. But anyhow, I got past all of that and joined in the round and kept going. And I had read a couple of things online on other people's Ravelry pages that have done this project, and a lot of them had commented about the armhole and the sleeves being very tight. So I knit an extra stripe before I connected in the round, so I'd have a little more room in the armpit. And then also, people had said that the neckline was very tight, and I did see somebody that had switched from a rib neckline to a I-cord, which is what I did. And I think that will be nicer given that it's a very lightweight sweater. So I did that and I kept going. Let me just show you. None of the ends are woven in yet, but this is the I-cord edge for the neckline. I think it came out pretty good. It is a very boxy sweater. And so again, I knit the size according to my chest circumference, which meant that the rest of it got very, very big. It's very boxy. I don't know if you can see how big it is. I can probably fit 3 of me in there, which is fine if you like big oversized sweaters. It had suggested to have 16 inches of positive ease, which I did not do. That might be fine on a very petite person to have that much extra fabric, but for me, no, it doesn't work, and I don't want to wear something that large. So I went to my local yarn store to see if they had any ideas to help resolve this issue. I thought maybe you could do some like lacing on the side to cinch it, or in the back to cinch it up and take up some of the extra fabric. But ultimately, I decided that I'm going to have to rip it back to below the armpit and then decrease rapidly on both sides so that the body isn't so large around. I have been delaying doing that for months. So I think I am probably ready now that I've given that project a couple months rest, and I will pick that up for the new year because I do really love the color and the fabric. It reminds me of the ocean so much and just diving into it. And even through November, my husband has been swimming in the ocean and has been joined by a lot of dolphins. So it's been so magical here. My girlfriend from the East Coast, who I've known for, oh gosh, since junior high, was out here for a family event, and she had some time to stop by and visit with me, which was so nice. We got to catch up. And it turns out she is doing an Elton sweater as well, or a similar style to the Elton sweater, but in a cardigan, and she's doing it in pink. So I can't wait to see that. I'm sure she won't have the trouble I do. She's a much more experienced knitter. She has knit so many shawls and so many socks. She used to knit Sock London Metro when she was commuting to work. And so I really admire all of her knitting. And I was delighted to hear that she's doing a similar project to me. Hopefully in the new year, we'll be able to show each other off the new sweaters. I wanted an intermission from the sizing challenges of sweaters, and so I decided to start 2 shawls where I didn't have to worry about the size. But the ocean was still in my heart as far as trying to find ways to express that in the fiber creative arts, and so I chose a shawl called Pink Sky at Night. Yep, Pink Sky at Night. It's by Whimsy North. It's a free pattern, and it is 2-color brioche. And I have started it, have not gotten very far. Let me see if I can untangle it a little bit to show you. Here we go. Here we go. This is Pink Sky at Night. She had done her shawl sample in pink, and this is Biches Buches Lambswool in light blue and gray blue. And I am not very familiar with brioche, so I put in several lifelines so when I make mistakes I don't have to rip it all the way back to the beginning. But I think it's going pretty well. I really do like the squish of the brioche, and I love the waves that it's generating in this pattern. So then I started another shawl because, again, I just didn't want to worry about fit. I just wanted to knit. I had gotten this beautiful Yak merino yarn from Qing also. It's fingering weight, and it's called Flamingo. It has all of these amazing colors in it. Blues and oranges, and there's some pops of yellow. It's just wonderful. Super fun, keeps me very interested as those little pops keep changing. And I decided that this would be the perfect yarn for Stephen West's Mingling Daisy shawl. So here this is. Let's see if I can do this without losing. Okay, it starts out, let's see, I'm gonna do it this way. Okay, so it starts out up here, and it is basically a 4-pattern repeat with twisted rib and daisy stitch and some of this lattice work. I don't know if you can see the daisy. Let me see if I can find that. It is right there. And it's just, it's really more interesting than just doing a stockinette, but because the pattern is pretty simple to remember, it's pretty nice. I don't know that I'm doing a great job showing it off, but it's very soft. I did have to be careful to make sure that I didn't do the I-cord edging too tight, but I think it's turning out really nice. The lattice work is fun, and the daisy stitch was just fun, but that almost prevented me from starting this or continuing with it. I had started with a different yarn, one that was twisted and the fibers were splitting, and I was using needles with a wooden tip. The daisy stitch requires going through several loops of yarn at a time. I was so frustrated, I just couldn't get it. I almost gave up, but then I switched yarn and I switched needles and realized that just solved everything. Need the right tools. So I will remember that for next time also. The Qing yarn is really a dream to work with, and it feels really good in my fingers to be knitting on that shawl. I thought that, oh gosh, that's really a strange color to pick for fall. It's so bright and cheery, until I remembered that my aunt and uncle's garden back on the East Coast are full of zinnias and dahlias, and they are this color. So it's really nice to have a pop of flowering colors in the middle of the fall season. And so since I wanted to continue to do something where I didn't really have to measure very much, I was going back to visit them and my parents on the East Coast, and it was going to be cold the first week of December. My parents' birthdays both happen, and so my husband and I needed hats. I had been eyeing Woolen Pines Deep Winter hat I had been looking at for quite a while, and I had gotten some Bien Aimee DK weight yarn, and here is the hat. This was an all-over cable hat, which I had never done before. I think it came out pretty well, and it's squishy and soft and warm, which is just what we needed for the East Coast. This colorway is called Carmel. It is this beautiful, rich, brassy color that is just yummy. And it fits my husband better than me, but there we go. It's a fun hat. It was a very quick knit. I think I knit it in about 3 days, something like that. Yeah, must have been 3 days. And then since I had another skein of DK weight from Bien Aimee, I decided to make another hat, and this one is, let me find the color. The colorway is Amerge. Yeah. Bien Aimee, Amerge. To me, it looks like peacock blue. And blue being my favorite color, of course I had to do that. It's basically a 2x2 rib, and then the cap of it does a decrease that I think looks quite nice. And I don't know if you can see how beautiful that color is. And still DK weight, so it's squishy and soft, and it was really nice to work with a slightly thicker yarn since I had been doing a lot of things in fingering weight. I made the bottom a little bit extra long so we could fold it up. I did cast on this as the child size with 120 stitches cast on, which seemed like it was going to be small, but it stretches out really quite large. So be aware. It does stretch out its 2x2 ribbing, so there's a lot of extra room in there. This one, the deep winter hat, cast on for that, the small adult also was significantly less stitches than this. And I think next time I do one of these, it'll be cast on with a little less stitches also, since it does stretch out so much. Those are the two hats for the winter. Please feel free to like and subscribe below to help out with YouTube's algorithm to get this shown. And it doesn't cost you anything. It's just, we'll let you know when there's another video up, hopefully sooner rather than later this time. Coming up are some photos of the most spectacular sky I've ever seen. It was fantastic. My husband and I usually walk for the sunset, and it was kind of a drizzly day. We really didn't expect the sky to do anything fancy. We were walking and we saw ribbons of pelicans flying inland, which is really unusual for that time of night. So we knew a storm was coming, and I turned around to see where they were flying to, and there was this amazing rainbow. And then we turned back towards the ocean, and the sky was just spectacular. So enjoy, and hoping that you have a warm and wonderful winter. Live, breathe, knit.